Hey, everybody, welcome back. I am your podcast coach, Kristen Chadwick, and your host. And today I have our guest with us today who is going to be giving us insight to Facebook ads. Yes, Jesus, thank you. Thank you for somebody who can talk about this subject because I know it's a deeply asked question over and over again. So first I want to introduce our guest, Carol Kabale, right? Yay, I got it right. My South African friend. Welcome.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Kristen. Honestly, I'm so excited to be here. Yay!
Yay. Well, and like I said in the intro, I so appreciate that you are going to share your knowledge around Facebook ads because I know that you, Carol, are a Facebook ads and strategy consultant, and you really specialize in helping online coaches and entrepreneurs grow their audiences and help monetize their platforms through strategic ad campaigns, which is perfect in this podcast because all of my podcasters have a podcast that they want to grow, a business that they want to grow. And so this is going to be really helpful.
Yay! I'm very excited. I think this is like divine timing. I think
know.
it was meant to be.
Okay. Yay. I agree. Okay. So where do we start as podcasters? How do we know, first of all, if we're ready to have Facebook ads?
Yeah, so that is the most important question. Before you throw money away or before you throw gasoline on a fire, I want you to stop and I want you to think for a little bit, okay? What you really need before you run any ads is you need to have a tried and tested offer. Now, Carol, what is that? Well, I like to refer to it as have you made at least 5 organic sales? It can be 5 or more, but minimum 5. And then on top of that, do you have at least 5 good reviews? Not medium reviews, not okay, but good reviews. People who would shout you and be like, hello, come buy this. It's amazing. That's who you're looking for, right?
Yeah.
Why is that important? Because if you've managed to sell organically, the path to make the sale has already been laid out, right? So now when you decide to run ads to it, you're just amplifying your greatness. You're just amplifying and growing momentum. So that's all that ads do. I know they sound really fancy, but they're not. They're just a giant magnifying glass that is there to put a spotlight on your amazing business.
Oh, that's so good. Okay, so I always love to bring in like examples. So,
Mm-hmm.
say you are a life coach and
Yeah.
you've already worked with, um, you feel like maybe it's not a lot, but actually you've worked with maybe 10 people and they have each told you in one
Mm-hmm.
capacity or another, whether it was written review, spoken review, that they really enjoyed working with you and this happened. So that that to me sounds like okay, we have some reviews, we have a successful timeline here. So how would you unpack that? Like say somebody is brand new to that and
Mm-hmm.
they're looking through their past clients. How would
Mm-hmm.
they gather that data?
So one thing, like you said, is to go back and see, have you had those conversations? Do you have those reviews?
Mhm.
Have you got that feedback, right? It's really important to have that information before you move forward, because if you don't move forward, and also here's the little catch that I forgot to mention, they need to have come from a social, okay? They
Mm,
need to have come from a Facebook or an Instagram or one of these platforms, right? So
interesting. Yeah.
generally, because if it's a referral, half the work is already done for you. Like
Mm,
that doesn't count. It has to be that you put up a post or you did a live or you did an event or you did a masterclass, you did something online that triggered them to start a conversation with you or to give you their email address, and then you close them in a sale. That's how you can verify that your sales funnel is effective. It has to come from socials.
I think that's really important to distinct because it's almost like maybe this is more for cold market versus warm market. So this is for picking up those brand new people that you've seen work in other areas of cold market
Yes.
examples. So maybe somebody who has already on their podcast, they've said, "Hey, go pick up this free download," or they've seen the ad or you talk about it inside of your Facebook group and they have come to you in that way. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect. That's a perfect example. You want someone who has been cold, they've been nurtured, and then they make a sale.
Okay.
Or
Okay.
we get them to conversion, whatever you want to get them to.
Okay. All right. So we have established that where to start is you've got those reviews. Now what? Where do we go from here?
Now that you have your reviews, we got to get very, very clear on the objective.
Okay.
Now, most of us, we would like to go straight to the sale. Okay, I'm gonna tell you something. Slow and steady wins the race. You cannot go straight to the sale, because what's gonna happen, right? Let's pretend you are at a nice park and you are just having the grandest of time. It's sunny. You're sitting there. You're having a coffee or you're having a little juice. The day is perfect. And this person, maybe it's a nice, handsome man, he comes up to you and he's like, hello, how's it going? And you're like, oh, hello. How's it going? Hi, how's it going? Right? And then out of nowhere, he says, will you marry me? Like, I don't know about you, but me, I'm not going to tell him yes, because I don't know you, sir. I don't know where you came from. I'm sure you have great intentions, but I'm going to need to get to know you first. We're going to have to go on a couple of dates. We're going to have to figure out, are we in alignment? Do we have the same values and faith? Like, before we move on, I'm going to need to know some information about you, right? That's the same thing with your ad. You cannot go straight for the sale. That's a huge mistake I see entrepreneurs making, especially service-based businesses and podcasters. They just want to drive people to their offer. Buy my thing, buy my thing. And people are like, ew, no, I don't want to buy your thing. I don't know you. Please go away. So what I always say, it is important to do two things before you present the sale or the conversion. The first one is awareness, right? And awareness is great for when you want to reach people who already know you. So maybe people who are a little bit warmer and you want to retarget them. Now you've spent time creating your lovely podcast and no one's listening to them. You have all these followers and no one's interacting with your socials. No one's leaving you a like, a comment, a share. No one's saving anything. No one's listening, right? This strategy, awareness, is great for that. It's great for building momentum and engagement, right? So if that's your objective, momentum, engagement, staying top of mind, having that first campaign, that's what you should focus on, right? Then the second kind of campaign that I like to run is a nurturing campaign. And what I mean by that is you're going to give them something of value. So here's a lead magnet. You're going to give me something. I'm going to give you something in return, right?
Okay.
And then from that, maybe it's an email that you capture, or maybe you start a conversation that leads them to book a call, or like a little chat, to an audit, not something very commitment yet, right? Something small. At least you have something tangible now. Now you have an email. So you can continue nurturing these people via email. They're opening your messages. They're getting in touch with you. They're like, that's what's happening. Oh, it's Black Friday. Oh, it's Christmas. Oh, it's New Year's, right? So you're always top of mind. One big thing we need to remember, just like the person, maybe it was me, who was at the park, who said no to that gentleman, right? People buy when they're ready, right? You can't force it. It has to be, God's timing, actually. It's not your timing.
Amen. Yes.
Yeah.
I love that example of, like, you don't just go and marry somebody that you don't know. Like, you have to get to know them. And especially as us, as business owners, as somebody who is in the service industry, who you may be a coach, you may be an author, you may be providing some sort of service or membership or subscription, whatever it is, you have to get that like trust factor, which we talk a lot about inside of podcasting. That's why we podcast, is to bring ourselves to the table and say, this is who we are. This is how we show up in the world and what we could offer you. And you're saying with the campaigns for Facebook ads, it's essentially the same thing. So that first campaign, which, real quick, define campaign for those that are brand new to the word campaign in Facebook world, ads world.
Yeah, so it's just like a fancy word to be like doing project or phase or group. Like, let's put
Okay.
this together. So this stage of the project is going to be awareness. The stage of the project is going to
Okay.
be nurturing. And finally, so it's just a fancy word
The
for
fancy word
project.
campaign. Okay. All right.
Word.
So, okay. So that first project of awareness, I want to break this
Mhm.
down to maybe a practical example. So,
Yes.
um, I'll go with me today. So, say my podcast, so podcast coaching for Kingdom entrepreneurs. My very first ad would
Mhm.
be would it be like I would love an example. So, would it be
Okay,
more
I
of
got you.
like
I got you.
okay, go. I'll let you
Tag
go.
me in. Tag me in. Tag me in. Okay. So your first kind of ad might be a snippet of the podcast. So it could be a
Okay.
video clip, right? And what you are optimizing for, so what you want the ad to do is to get you as many views as possible, right?
Yep.
So that as many people can see it. And not just random people, cold audience. You want your actual followers to see it because they're
Mhm.
more likely to comment, like, share, and interact with it, right?
Okay. Yep.
So that is something, as well as the added bonus of running something like a video views ad would mean you get like vanity matrix. So you start getting like a whole bunch of views. And
Okay.
then and I like vanity matrix because they're great to position you as the industry leaders that you are, right?
Yep.
Because here's the thing. We like to see people, we've been conditioned to think like 100 is such a small number.
Mhm.
I wish 100 people would show up at your house.
Mhm.
You would
Mhm.
freak out. You would freak out. You'd be like, what are you all doing here? I promise you. And we've been so conditioned to think that that is such a small number. But it's actually a lot of people who took time out of their day to listen to what you had to say
Yeah.
and liked, comment, and maybe shared it. So when you start hitting those numbers, like now people who go on your page and go, wow, 10,000 people saw this. That's impressive. Let's see what's happening here. Because it's
Mhm.
part of that, like, I hate to use this term, but like a herd mentality.
Mm.
You get curious. You're just like, what's happening over there? Why
Yeah.
so many people watching that? So
Uh-huh.
you want to watch it too. So
Yeah.
that would be the first kind of ad that I would say. It's also great. The reason you'd want to run an ad is because this is a big reason. We have no control over these algorithms. Oh, English left there. We have no control over these algorithms. And what I mean by that is that you spend so much of your time and energy putting together this beautiful thing for no one to see it,
Yeah.
for literally an algorithm to decide if it gets shown and who it gets shown to.
Mhm.
So it's really important that when you run ads, even if you have a small budget, you're actually in the driver's seat. You get to show people these are the people who are going to see the content. And
Mm.
that's more effective use of your time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that's a big pain point for a lot of my podcasters. I have a lot of people that are like, I hate social media. I don't want to be on there. But it sounds like with the ads, even with a small budget, you can effectively go after the people that you're called to serve very specifically
Yes.
through ads, which can eliminate that feeling of like, oh, this is so overwhelming. I don't even know if somebody's going to see my post. So this is very eye-opening. Okay, so all right, so we got the awareness stage
Mhm.
or campaign, and then the second one was more of the exchange, right? So I give you this for in exchange for this, which is what we talk about on the podcast a lot of those lead magnets and trying to develop something that's in alignment with what you are currently talking about inside of your podcast. So in the Facebook space,
Mhm.
what so let's talk about let's stay with the same line of okay, so for
Yes.
me, so we've got my podcast little blip and people are driven to my podcast, so that's one objective. So then the second
Yes.
one is more of the exchange. So what would that look
Yes.
like?
So I want you to look at your best performing lead magnet. What is it? Right?
Mhm.
That's the first piece of homework. You need to identify what it is. And then we have the saying in ads, if it's working, don't mess with it. Don't touch it. Just leave
Yeah.
it. Like, it's done. It's okay. What you can do is you want to create different versions of it, right? You want to improve
Okay.
upon it, right?
Yeah.
And what I like to do, so here's a practical example. I'll use myself as an example because it's off the top of my head.
Mhm.
So I have my lead magnet is a quiz. That's the format that it's in, right?
Mhm.
So it's a quiz and it's doing pretty well. Then I took that quiz and I turned it into a checklist for
Oh.
people who don't want to take the quiz. Maybe they like to download a PDF.
Mhm.
I then took that PDF and expanded on it a little bit. And then I shot a video. Now it's a training for people who want to watch me tell them what they need to do. Then I took that training and I took snippets of it, right? And I created like an audio version of it that you can do, like I'm co-working with you. It's like I'm just there, like your friend in your pocket kind of vibe.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what you're doing is you're testing different formats so that you can see what is more effective to your audience.
Okay.
Sometimes, though, you might just need to change the lead magnet. People get tired. I mean, I don't want to see the same thing 20,000 times. So you might not always stay with the thing, but different versions of it, when you see like you're starting to see a decline of registrations, or you see like your ads aren't performing as well, it might just be that they need to be served or introduced to your lead magnet in a different format.
Okay, this is wonderful because I'm thinking of of my podcast members who have had the same lead magnet for a long time, but it's permission to use that because it was successful. And even though it may have declined in this scenario, and I think in your podcast call to action and in the Facebook ads world, I love that you can just switch it to more of a, you could do a quiz, or you could do a journal, or you could do a webinar, or but all around the same content. So you don't have to be centering your energy around this whole like, oh, what else do I have to give away? You know?
Yes.
So this is great because I think that takes the pressure off of like, well, I have to create a whole new campaign for Facebook ads, which is not true, what you're saying.
Not true at all. I often say to my clients, your best ads are probably already sitting on your phone. Your best campaigns, you've probably already created them. Yeah. There are things that your audience is already reacting to. They are the things that they're downloading, they're interacting with, and repurposing them, like doing all these other versions of it. It may actually serve people in different ways. Maybe I don't want to take the quiz. I'm more of a person who loves a PDF. So now I feel like, yay, this is finally for me. Yeah. Another little thing that we like to do is, if you've created all these things, and I know we all love to create, or else we wouldn't be entrepreneurs. Yes. We wouldn't be entrepreneurs. If you love to create, add it, give it as a value add. Yeah. So be like, if you have the quiz, right, and they've taken the quiz, for example, your next step when you send them an email is be like, hey, I'm also giving you this PDF just so that you can follow along. It's the same thing, but now it feels more intentional. It feels like you want to help them. It comes from a place of service. Here's the thing. People buy from people who they think they're going to help them with their problem. They're going to walk the same journey with them. They're not just buying from like your branding and your pretty colors and fonts. No, they want to connect with you.
Right.
And that connection is what sells. I mean, the fonts and the pretty colors help. Don't get me wrong. Nothing against that.
Right.
But it's not ultimately the thing that lets them to buy.
I mean, it's like what you're saying. It could be a very good looking man, but we don't know what's on the inside.
Thank you.
All right. So we've got the awareness, we've got the exchange, and then what?
And then the final step is the conversion. Now, with the conversion, I want to put some disclaimers out there. I want to tell you that ads are not business rescue. They're not there as a lifeline, okay? Ooh. They're not there for you to take your last bit of savings and go and gamble them away. That's what I see a lot of entrepreneurs doing. It's like they're walking into a casino and they're taking their money and just being like, please, please, please. No, it doesn't work like that. No. You cannot do that, okay? You are a very smart individual, okay? So I want you, when you get to conversions, to accept two things, to come with this plan. First one, what are you willing to spend? I want you to write that number from the beginning.
Yeah.
And if it means you're not having Starbucks this month, it means you're not having Starbucks this month, okay? We all got to make sacrifices. Money's got to come from somewhere, right? So stick to that budget. Then second of all, remember that a budget can only take you so far. Now, what do I mean by that? Right. So if you are spending $10 a day, which is probably perfectly fine, understand that your ad is probably going to be the size of a cell phone screen. It's going to be like this big,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, that doesn't mean that people won't see your ad. If you think about it, we're on our cell phones all the time.
Mm-hmm.
We see them. They're
Mm-hmm.
fine. But if you're spending $100 a day, $500 a day, $1,000 a day, you're going to have a giant billboard and
Yes.
you're going to get a whole bunch of eyeballs on that billboard very quickly.
Okay.
So what do we have to do? We've got to adjust our expectations based on our budget. Both screens are going to be seen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Both budgets are going to bring you people. It's just at the rate that they're going to bring them to you. Now,
Okay.
once you've understood that, right, you can then reverse engineer your conversion rate. This is the one thing I tell my clients, unfortunately, I cannot do for you. I cannot be on the sales call. I cannot be on the webinar. I cannot be there when like you guys, when you're selling. I cannot be there for you. Unfortunately, there's only one Carol. I mean, it's only just me, guys. I'm just one person. So because of that, you need to take a little bit of accountability and say, if 10 people come to me, realistically, how many am I turning into a sale? And if the answer is 0, you're going to have to work on your sales game. But if the answer is 2, then you know, okay, I need 20 people so I can close 4.
Okay.
If the answer is like 5, okay, then maybe you only need 10 all the time because you're closing at really high, 50%. If you can close all 10, maybe you only need to run ads for a short period because you've closed 10 people. And with that in mind, you can then reverse engineer how much you have to spend. So the first initial budget is kind of just a test. So you have to feel for yourself. I like to say start with about like $300. That should give you about like $10 a day to play with. And you'll test maybe one set of ads for 1 week, see what data you get, change them out, optimize, change them out until you start getting into a rhythm. But for most of my clients, we have this rule that's 90 days to data because we don't only test the ads, we test everything else. We test the funnels. How can we improve the landing pages? How can we improve the email sequences? So we test a whole lot of other stuff too. But just the ads, you can get away with like testing maybe for a month to get a good idea of what works. Okay. And then you can start running ads to that conversion. And you want to be very clear on what that conversion path looks like. So they see the ad, they go to the webinar, or they go to book a call with you, and then that's how they close. You decide how you're going to pitch there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really helpful because I know there's many of my podcasters who are like, Kristen, how much should I put into ads? Or am I, like we talked about, am I ready to put finances or an investment into ads? And I think this is really helpful going back from the very beginning of, do you have things set up? Are you ready? Like you're saying, do you have a landing page? Do you have the appropriate process and funnel for people to follow that that sequence of events to actually get in connection with you and eventually become a client and somebody that you get to serve? Okay, so and then we've also talked about how the process of even just starting small, like this is answering that question of how much should I invest in Facebook ads? Am I in a space to do this? And I think that it's manageable for most people. If you think about, I mean, $300 in your month, if you have that right now, I think it's well worth it to just, even the data that comes in from that would be super helpful. So say you're somebody who invests their $300 into this comfortably, not like, oh my gosh, this is the last $300 and I hope it works, like you said. But they have done this comfortably and they've seen it maybe not play out the way that it's expected. So what are those ways that they can go back into the data and look for clues to tweak here and there?
Sure. So the first thing I always do is I start right at the beginning, right? Was the lead magnet or the offer or the thing we put in front of them, was that it? Was that our best version? Is this the best thing we could have put in front of them? Because maybe it's not. Maybe like you want to promote something that is more applicable in the summertime and now we're in the middle of winter.
Mhm.
Maybe, your product or service or coach or course or whatever it is, it's better as a back to school offer. It's better as a Black Friday offer. Is the
Mhm.
timing correct for what you're using? Even if it's a great offer that you've sold before, right? Is now the best time to introduce that offer? That's the first thing I would do. After that, I like to look at the copy. What copy did you use?
Mhm.
What did the ads look like? Right?
Mhm.
For example, changes you could make to the copy is, do you have emojis? Do you not have emojis? Are you calling your people out? So, for example, I have this one client, she speaks directly to product managers. And in all her ad copy, she says, product managers, blah, 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 blah.
Mhm.
Product managers, blah, 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 blah. So they know they're talking to you. Like,
Right.
if I see that ad, I'm like, not a product
Not
manager.
me.
Move
Yeah.
on. Not me. Sorry. Moving on.
Yeah.
You also want to look at the type of ad you put together. Don't be scared. I know everybody loves video, like they love it. Okay.
Mhm.
But don't be scared to try an old school graphic.
Mhm.
Graphics don't stop your scroll. Think of the kind of ads that resonate with you. Think of the content that people are liking, sharing on your organic socials already.
Mhm.
Do when even a carousel. Like again, I have this other client who we did a carousel for, and her audience loves it. They love
Mm.
scrolling. I don't get it, but they like it. That's fine. That's perfect, right?
Yeah.
So then what you want to do as well is, now that you have that, you've sorted that part out, look at your audience, look at your
Okay.
targeting. The targeting is where everybody gets a little bit confused, and that's okay. Okay.
Okay.
With the targeting, I want you to take it one step at a time. I want
Okay.
you to start very broad, right? So, just so you know, the targeting is just who we're going to talk to. It's the
Yeah.
audience, it's the people we're going to put in front of the ads, right?
Okay.
So, start very broad. Like they live in the US, they're between this age and this age. Are you talking to men and women? Or are you exclusively talking to one of these things? I'm only talking to men, or I'm only talking to women. That's
Mhm.
also really important. For me, like nothing against men, but I tend to mostly attract women. So when
Mhm.
I run ads, I don't run them to men. I just
Yeah.
run them to women. I get
Yes.
better conversions out of them, right?
Uh-huh.
And that's okay. And then I want you to think, and then I want you to do this exercise, right? If you had to find this person in a busy mall, where are we finding them? What are they wearing? What are they drinking? What are they reading? What are they looking like? Are they at Target or are they at Gucci? Are they wearing Lululemon or are they just like, they just put on whatever they could grab? Are they drinking Starbucks or did they make coffee at home? I
Mhm.
want you to think about these things because these are tangible things that you can target for. I have this one client who is really funny. Like, we laughed so much when we heard about this. I hope you laughed too. Um, all her clients, every single one of them, drive a white Tesla. How weird is that? Every single one drives a white Tesla.
Yes,
So
it's
when
a
we
thing.
targeted, we literally went and targeted Tesla because it's people who would probably buy that car.
Mhm.
So those are the kind of things I want you to think about. And if it's not working, it's okay. You can swap that out. You can target for so many things like, are they getting married? Are they in a relationship? Are they divorced? Do they have children? So think about the people you love to work with, the people you love to serve.
Yeah.
That's who you should be looking for.
That is fascinating. I love that. I just think of, I mean, there's so much that we do as in our podcast membership community where we're like, okay, think about your ideal listener. And it's that example right there. I love that. If in a mall, you were in the mall and you were trying to find them, how would you pick them out? And I think that's, again, I there's something about the Facebook ads that almost takes you a deep breath of like, I can find my people if I
Yes.
do this. And it's
Yes.
not just throwing spaghetti at the wall, and you're actually really targeting who you want to talk to and who you really have felt that the Lord has said, I want you to speak to these people and bring freedom, bring hope, bring impact. And what a cool tool. I know social
Right?
media gets such a bad rap, but I feel like this is such a great example of being very purposeful and intentional about going after the hearts of the people that you know you're called to impact as a coach, as a podcaster, author. whatever it is. So,
Amen.
this is so good.
Literally, amen. Because it would be a disservice to you. I always say to people, like, ads are a service, not only for you, because you're investing in yourself. You're not just, you really are. You're saying to myself, okay, I'm going to take this money and I'm going to believe that what I was meant to do, I'm actually here to do.
Yes.
That's number one. Like, you're actually like doing and living in purpose by doing that. And then number two, you're coming from a place of service, because it would be a disservice for people not to find you, for people to not work with you, to not get what they need from you. By you hiding away or hiding behind this algorithm that is fighting against you, that's what's happening.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh, preach it, girl. Preach it. Yes. I actually just read an email this morning from my good friend Buki. I don't know if you know Buki Akoa, but she wrote her title, subject line said, "Don't blend in." And I think that's so good of like, yes, we're not called to blend in. We have to be brave. We have to be visible. And we have to take courage and be bold and present ourselves to the world. So I love that. Okay. This has all been so good and so tangibly good. Any last thoughts or anything that you feel like you want to make sure you say before we wrap up today?
Yes, I do want to say one thing. I know it's scary. It's a lot, right? It's a lot. Every time you try something new, you're like, oh, you're not really good at it in the beginning. But you carry on and you try again and you carry on and you try again. That's exactly what running ads is like. It might be very overwhelming in the beginning, but I want you to take one step at a time. You don't need my permission, but I'm going to give it to you just in case you need it, in case you want a little bit. Just in case you want a little bit of encouragement. Know that I got your back and I know you can do this. Okay. Just do it one little step at a time and it's going to be okay.
So good. Thank you so much, Carol. Okay. Where can people find you and work with you if they're like, you know what? I don't want to do this by myself and I need Carol's expert advice on my specific situation. Where can people connect with you?
So they can connect with me on my website. It's my name and surname, Carol Kabale. I'm sure it'll be on the show notes. And one thing you should do before you even reach out, I want to make sure that you're actually ready. Like you mentioned, Kristen, I don't want people to take spaghetti, throw it at the wall, and pray it's going to stick. Okay? No. We're not playing that game around here. So I want you to go and take my Facebook ads quiz that's going to tell you if you're ready to run ads, if you should even be doing this. Because again, I want you to succeed. I want to amplify your message. And if you are ready, let's take that step together.
Awesome. Okay, friends, I want to hear from you too of if you take that quiz and you're ready or not ready. I want to hear how you guys pan out and I'm going to take it too. And well, maybe we can have you inside of our Facebook. Maybe we could have you inside of our podcast membership in this 2025 to help us in the Facebook ad space. So stay tuned, my friends who are listening and you're in the membership or not in the membership yet. We might be able to get Carol inside of there to help us out a little bit deeper. So thank you so much, Carol. And I have just so enjoyed this conversation.
Likewise, truly. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you for like sharing your space with me. I feel so happy that I got to do this today. Honestly, I do.
Me too. All right, friends, until next time, happy podcasting.